Hey Rayleigh, and anybody else watching, and welcome back to another message from your father. 1 Chronicles 24, 25, and 26 today. So we have been following David, and we saw last time his pride got the better of him, and he started counting his fighting men. So we saw that, the great sin of that, the pride that he took in it, and then also his repentance of that. And then that transition to the temple. So him now prepping the way for his son Solomon to build that temple. So what we're going to be looking at today is more men, specifically a lot of the divisions. And we're going to see a lot of worshipers in today's divisions. So the divisions we're going to see are the divisions of priests, of Levites, we have singers, gatekeepers, we have treasurers, and then other officials as well. So again, all of that and all of those people in 24, 25, and 26. So chapter 24. These were the divisions of the sons of Aaron. The sons of Aaron were Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father did, and they had no sons. So Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests, with the help of Zadok, a descendant of Eleazar, and Ahimelech, a descendant of Ithamar. David separated them into divisions for their appointed order of ministering. A large number of leaders were found among Eleazar's descendants, then among Ithamar's, and they were divided accordingly. 16 heads of the families from Eleazar's descendants, and 8 heads of families from Ithamar's descendants. They divided them impartially by drawing lots, for there were officials of the sanctuary and officials of God among the descendants of both Eleazar and Ithamar. The scribe Shemaiah son of Nethaneel, a Levite, recorded their names in the presence of the king and of the officials, Zadok the priest, Ahimelech son of Abiathar, and the heads of families of the priests and of the Levites, one family being taken from Eleazar and then one from Ithamar. The first lot fell to Jehoiarib, the second Jedediah, the third Harim, the fourth Seorim, the fifth Malchijah, the fifth Mijamin, the seventh Hakaz, the eighth to Abijah, the ninth Jeshua, the 10th Shechaniah, the 11th to Elishib, the 12th to Jechim, the 13th to Huppah, the 14th to Jeshabib, the 15th to Bilgah, the 16th to Emer, the 17th to Hezer, the 18th to Haphaziz, the 19th to Pethahiah, the 20th to Jehechzeel, the 21st to Jachin, the 22nd to Gamul, the 23rd to Delilah, and the 24th to Messiah. This was their appointed people, or their appointed order in the ministering when they entered the temple of the Lord, according to the regulations prescribed for them by their forefather Aaron, as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded him. As for the rest of the descendants of Levi, from the sons of Amram, Shubael, from the sons of Shubael, Jedediah. As for Rabiah, from his sons, Ishiah was the first. From the Isharites, Shelomoth, from the sons of Shelomoth, Jahath, from the sons of Hebron, Jerah the first, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, and Jokmeam the fourth. The son of Uzziel, Micah, from the sons of Micah, Shemir. The brother of Micah, Isaiah, from the sons of Isaiah, Zechariah. The sons of Merari, Malhi and Mushi. The son of Josiah, Beno. The sons of Merari, from Jahaziah, Beno, Shoham, Zachur, and Ibri. From Mali, Eleazar, who had no sons. From Kish, the son of Kish, Jeremiel. And the sons of Mushi, Mali, Eder, and Jeremoth. These were the Levites according to their families. They also cast lots, just as their brothers, the descendants of Aaron, did in the presence of King David and Zadok, Ahimelech, and the heads of families of the priests and of the Levites. The families of the oldest brother were treated the same as those of the youngest. Chapter 25. David, together with the commanders of the army, set apart some of the sons of Asaph, Heman, Jeduthun, for the ministry of prophesying, accompanied by harps, lyres, and cymbals. Here is a list of the men who performed this service. From the sons of Asaph, Zakur, Joseph, Nethaniah, and Asraliah. These sons of Asaph were under the supervision of Asaph, who prophesied under the king's supervision. As for Jeduthun, from his sons, Gedaliah, Zeri, Jehoshiah, Shimei, Hashabiah, and Mattaniah, 6 in all, under the supervision of their father Jeduthun, who prophesied using the harp in thanking and praising the Lord. As for Heman, from his sons, Bukiah, Mattaniah, Uzziel, Shubael, and Jeremoth, Hananiah, Eliath, Gittai, and Romanatai Ezer, Jokbepesha, Mahalathai, Hothir, and Mahaziah. All these were sons of Heman the king's seer. They were given him through the promises of God to exalt him. God gave Heman 14 sons and 3 daughters. All these men were under the supervision of their fathers for the music of the temple and of the Lord, with cymbals, lyres, and harps for the ministry at the house of God. Asaph, Jeduthun, and Heman were under the supervision of the king. Along with their relatives, all of them trained and skilled in music for the Lord. They numbered 228. Young and old alike, teacher as well as student, cast lots for their duties. The first lot, which was for Asaph, fell to Joseph, his sons and relatives, 12. The second to Gedaliah, he and his relatives and sons, 12. The third to Zakur, his sons and relatives, 12. The fourth to Isri, his sons and relatives, 12. The fifth to Nethaniah, his sons and relatives, 12. The sixth to Bukiah, his sons and relatives, 12. The seventh to Jeshraliah, his sons and relatives, 12. The eighth to Jeshaniah, his sons and relatives, 12. The ninth to Mattaniah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 10th to Shimei, his sons and relatives, 12. The 11th to Azriel, his sons and relatives, 12. The 12th to Hashabiah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 13th to Shubael, his sons and relatives, 12. The 14th to Mattaniah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 15th to Jeremoth, his sons and relatives, 12. The 16th to Hananiah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 17th to Joshbekbasha, his sons and relatives, 12. The 18th to Hanani, his sons and relatives, 12. The 19th to Malothai, his sons and relatives, 12. The 20th to Alphaniah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 21st to Hathir, his sons and relatives, 12. The 22nd to Gedaltai, his sons and relatives, 12. The 23rd to Mahaziah, his sons and relatives, 12. The 24th to Romanti Ezer, his sons and relatives, 12. Chapter 26. The divisions of the gatekeepers. From the Korathites, Meshlemiah, son of Kor, one of the sons of Asaph. Meshlemiah had sons: Zechariah the firstborn, Jedidiel the second, Zabadiah the third, Janiel the fourth, Eliam the fifth, Jehohanan the sixth, and Elionai the seventh. Obed-Edom also had sons: Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, Sakar the fourth, Nethaneel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, and Peluithai the eighth. For God had blessed Obed-Edom. His son Shemaiah also had sons, who were leaders in their father's family because they were very capable men. The sons of Shemaiah: Othni, Rephael, Obed, and Elizabad. His relatives Elihu and Semamicah were also able men. All these were descendants of Obed-Edom. They and their sons and their relatives were capable men with the strength to do the work, descendants of Obed-Edom, 62 in all. Meshlemiah had sons and relatives who were able men, 18 in all. Hoshea the Merarite had sons: Shimri the first, although he was not the firstborn, his father had appointed him the first. Hilkiah the second, Tabaliah the third, and Zechariah the fourth. The sons and relatives of Hoshea were 13 in all. These divisions of the gatekeepers, through their chief men, had duties for ministering in the temple of the Lord, just as their relatives had. Lots were cast for each gate according to their families, young and old alike. The lot for the east gate fell to Shelemiah. Then lots were cast for his son Zechariah, a wise counselor, and the lot for the north gate fell to him. The lot for the south gate fell to Obed-Edom, and the lot for the storehouse fell to his sons. The lots for the west gate and the Shalaketh gate on the upper road fell to Shupim and Hoshea. Guard was alongside of Guard, and there were 6 Levites a day on the east, 4 a day on the north, 4 a day on the south, and 2 at a time in the storehouse. As for the court to the west, there were 4 at the road and 2 at the court itself. These were the divisions of the gatekeepers who were descendants of Korah and Merari. Their fellow Levites were in charge of the treasuries of the house of God and the treasuries for the dedicated things. The descendants of Ladan, who were Gershonites through Ladan, and who were heads of families belonging to Ladan the Gershonite, were Jehaleel, the son of Jehaleel, Zetham, and his brother Joel. They were in charge of the treasuries of the temple of the Lord. From the Amramites, the Izharites, and the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites. Shubael, a descendant of Gershom, son of Moses, was the officer in charge of the treasuries. His relatives, through Eleazar, Rabiah his son, Jeshaiah his son, Joram his son, Zikri his son, Shelomith his son. Shelomith and his relatives were in charge of all the treasuries for the things dedicated by King David, by the heads of families, who were the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, and by other army commanders. Some of the plunder taken in the battle dedicated for the repair of the temple of the Lord, and everything dedicated by Samuel the seer, and by Saul son of Kish, Abner son of Ner, and Joab son of Zeruiah, and all other dedicated things were in the care of Shelomith and his relatives. From the Izharites, Kenaniah and his sons were assigned duties away from the temple, as officials and judges over Israel. From the Hebronites, Hashabiah and his relatives, 1,700 able men, were responsible in Israel west of the Jordan for all the work of the Lord and for the king's service. As for the Hebronites, Jeriah was their chief according to the genealogical records of their families. In the 40th year of David's reign, a search was made in the records, and capable men from among the Hebronites were found at Jazer in Gilead. Jeriah had 2,700 relatives who were able men and heads of families, and King David put them in charge of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, for every matter pertaining to God and for the affairs of the king. So I apologize, I'm tongue-tied today with these names. But what I do think is interesting with all these names is the titles that aren't actually written in here, but they are put in later by people that were transcribing the Bible, is we have the singers, the gatekeepers, we have the divisions of the priests, the Levites, and I can't help but think, where would I have fallen within these people? And part of that, right, is your family is where you fall within that. But how are these people remembered? And I think that's my prayer for you, Rayleigh, is that you would seek to be remembered as a person who sought God and worshiped God. I mean, we talked about this a couple days ago, but when you look around, there's so many reasons to be worshiping God, and they are just nonstop. And you are one of the reasons I worship God, but there are so many as well. He is so worthy of our praise. So how will you be remembered? Anyway, know that I love you and I'm praying for you. For anyone else joining, know that I appreciate you so much as well. And we'll plan on seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.